Well, I say we get it kicked off here with the 1A and kind of work our way up to 5A if that works for you.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, so we'll start off here with 1A. If you guys don't know, the matchup there is Ridge Spring Monetta against Green Sea Floyds. Green Sea Floyds is a defending state champion. They will be the home team in this game. It's Trojans, John. What are some first thoughts of you about? Just talk about maybe a little bit about these teams. I know you talked about some of the records there, what kind of happened with Ridge Spring Monetta. Going to talk about that, and then maybe kind of go into a quick breakdown, and I'll kind of follow up as well.
Yeah, starting off with Ridge Spring Monetta first. They came into the playoffs. They were the number 18 in the state. Obviously had a very good year. They come into this game with a 10-4 record. As I said earlier, if you guys didn't catch it, they went up a classification their first two games, lost their first two. Lost to Batesburg-Leesville and also Saluda, who will be in Columbia. Will actually play the first game Friday night, down at Bolden Stadium there at Benedict, or where Benedict plays rather. But the one thing that jumps out to me about Ridge Spring Monetta here, so they had a great season, of course, but the talk of the upper state for 1A was Wagner Sally. So back in October, Ridge Spring Monetta, they went to Wagner Sally, got blown out 40-6 in that regular season game. But then they bounced back in the playoffs, and they knocked off Wagner Sally in a close game last week, 26-22. So that goes to show either they had a really bad game during the regular season, or they have really, really grown up and improved here in the last 6 weeks.
Yeah.
6 weeks of football.
Yeah. Guys,
so
I apologize. Guys on Facebook, I apologize for the twisting and turning. I know we got kind of a weird screen, and I don't know what's going on with it. I figured we should do this instead of having a chance of losing it. But yeah, so to hit on that point, John, kind of the issue with Ridge Spring, what they had all year, they had a lot of injuries early. They got their sophomore quarterback back a few weeks ago, and that's really kind of when they started this run. The Lee-Part kid, very athletic, can really throw the ball down the field, and that's really what's turning around for those guys. I know I was talking to, a guy from Aiken earlier this week who kind of covers them, and this is their coach's first year there. He had a lot of young guys on the line that kind of had to grow up as well. I think that's part of it. And, I learned this as well. Apparently, they're having some renovations at their school, so they haven't even really had a true home game all season long.
Wow.
So going to the road in the playoffs,
well-suited,
they're excited. Yeah, that's nothing new for those guys. So they were ready to hit the road all playoffs long. So they've got some good athletes here at Ridge Spring Monetta. But, going to this Green Sea Floyds team, John, they haven't really played a lot of close games this year. Last week they beat Lakeview in a fairly close one after blowing Lakeview out earlier in the year.
Right.
They've got a really good running attack led by Jaquan Dixon, really good player there. And these guys, they've got the state championship experience. Winning it last year, that's got to help out a team's mental toughness there, I feel like.
Yeah, for sure. And you're going to see a common theme here in these lower classifications. Just talk about Ridge Spring Monetta stepping up above there. Stepping up into the 2A to play some games at the beginning of the year. They lost, but it helps sharpen these guys, these kids as they go through the season. And Green Sea Floyds, they are 12-1 entering the game. They were the number 2 team in the state behind Wagner Sally entering the playoffs, but their one loss this year to Ainer.
Very good 3A team.
2-touchdown game
to
a very, very good Ainer team who we didn't realize at the time were as good as they are.
Yeah.
Ainer actually entered the 3A playoffs as the number 2 team in the state. So, nothing to be ashamed of losing that game 36-22 earlier in the year.
For sure.
But yeah, Green Sea Floyds, obviously they've done well and to beat Lakeview twice in one season.
It's always nice.
And that second one being in the lower state championship, that's a big seal of approval for people around the state.
Yeah, got a couple comments. You guys see getting in with Green Sea Floyds wins back-to-back titles ratio. I think it's how he says his name. I don't know. But yeah, that's probably my pick. I'll tell you here in a second. But I think it's going to be. And I think not enough gets made about what this coach has done at Green Sea Floyds. He's been there. This is his third year. 2 years ago, they went 6-6, that was a great season for Green Sea Floyds. They've not been a great football team in the past until he got there. So 2 years ago, those guys went 6-6. Everybody's like, this is awesome. And then last year turned around and win a state championship in his second year. And this year having another chance to win another one. That guy's done some great work down there with the Trojans for sure.
Yeah, and in that area, it is not easy football.
No.
You haven't played Lakeview and Timsville every year.
Yeah.
Those are traditional powers.
Yeah, you got a team like Hemingway. I know they were really bad this year. But in the past, they've had a very solid 1A football team
Very much
there.
so.
Him doing what he's doing there is pretty remarkable. I don't know his background, so I don't know if he would be a guy that people would look at to maybe make a jump to a next level program. But with what he's done there, he's got to get some looks from some bigger schools, I would think.
You would think so.
Yeah.
You would think so, for sure.
I would think so. So, John, comes down to it. Who's your pick Saturday or Friday night? I think this is the nightcap. It's the 8 o'clock game Friday at Benedict. I'm still waiting to kind of hear on some of the TV stuff. Have you heard, John? I know I've seen somewhere.
I have not.
Some stuff will be locally broadcast. Some stuff will be online for like a $9.99 fee. If you guys tuning in and watching have seen or have heard what exactly is going to be happening with that, feel free to let us know. Also get in with your prediction. If you guys have seen some of these teams more than us, you probably know a little more about them. Obviously, we can't be all everywhere in the state every Friday night, so we haven't seen all these teams. A lot of this stuff is based off of secondhand knowledge, and even reading some recaps, things like that. Donnie getting with a good show. I appreciate it, man. We got a lot of good stuff coming for you guys too as we kind of go through the ranks here. But John, what's your single A prediction here for Friday night?
I tell you what, if you're gonna go Green Sea Floyds, I think they're gonna win.
Mm-hmm.
I think Green Sea Floyds will win this game too. But the thing that gives me a little bit of hesitation is what happened last week. If you had asked 2 weeks ago, hey, who's probably going to win the state championship? I think a majority of people would say, oh, it's going to be Wagner Sally.
Yeah, at least get to it. At least beat playing for state. Yeah.
So the fact that they beat Wagner Sally last week, that is, that really is tempting for me to pick Rich Spring Monetta. But I think just from looking at how these teams have played through the year, Green Sea Floyd's it's got to be the favorite, I think.
Yeah.
But I'll go with them, but would not be surprised to see Rich Spring.
I think you're right. It kind of comes back to what I talked about earlier, is that they've got a lot of young kids at Rich Spring Monetta, which, I know, maybe sometimes that works out to your favor where you don't realize you shouldn't be there and things like that.
Right.
But I think, you couple the young kids against the state championship experience that Green Sea Floyds has, I think you've got to lean Green Sea Floyds. I think, I really am interested to see what the Lee Park kid can do at quarterback for Rich Spring Monetta. But I think that, the Dixon guy, Green Sea Floyds, and that defense they have there, it's going to be a little bit too much for RSM on Friday night. So I'm going to go with those guys maybe in a 10 to 14-point ball game. But interesting to see how that one turns out for sure.
Yeah, and I agree. I think the experience will be a huge factor, a huge benefit for Green Sea, just knowing, having that familiarity of being in that stadium before, being on that stage before, definitely will be a positive for them.
Yeah, so let's move on to 2A now, John. And I'll tell you right now, this may be my favorite game of the weekend right here. So we got a couple of viewers. We got Josh in there, Haley, Terrence. Appreciate you guys tuning in on Facebook, on Twitter. I see Harry, a couple of guys watching. Thanks, guys, for that. I appreciate it. So the 2A to set the stage here, we have in Upper State the Saluda Tigers coming off the upset of Abbeville on the road last week. They will actually be the away team against the Barnwell Warhorses, who knocked off the unbeaten on the field Oceanside Collegiate team last Friday night. John, I'm in a couple of high school football groups here on Facebook. One of them's High School Football, just like a talk group. And man, this game has been getting the folks fired up. I've never seen so many Barnwell and Saluda fans in my life, but they all come out of the woodworks for this Friday 5 o'clock game in Benedict. I'll kind of go first. You can go first on that one, John. Starting with the Upper State, Saluda. They got a kid at quarterback, Noah Bell, one of the SC football finalists there, lefty kid. Really, really good passer, really big kid, really good runner. Got a great receiver out there at the right. The right kid had a huge game against Abbeville. I think, a win over a team like Abbeville can really springboard you to big things. But I also worry if maybe it's hard to get up that high again the next week after a win like that.
Yeah, for sure.
That's going to be a tough one. But, going on the road, winning a 4-point ball game late, that was huge for those guys. And let's go down to Lower State now for the Barnwell Warhorses. This has been a favorite team of mine all season, John. I've had them, I think, as maybe the second best team in 2A behind Abbeville all year, in my opinion. What they did last week against Oceanside Collegiate, a team that's been blowing everybody out, to beat them pretty handily, 42-31. It really wasn't that close until late. That Barnwell team is very good, very sound defensively. Got the Watts kid at linebackers, one of the best linebackers, one of the best defensive players in the state, really. Some good weapons on offense with the Pender kid at quarterback. They've got the, who else? What's the guy's name at receiver? Can't remember it. Robinson, I think, receiver's a good player there for them. Got a couple good linemen, a Curse kid that's getting some good offers there. John, what do you think are some keys to this 2A matchup here?
Yeah, I think for me, it's who you've played, how you've gotten to Columbia, and we know Barnwell's good.
Yeah.
In that Oceanside game, I thought Oceanside would win the game.
Yeah.
So that's impressive to me, but I look to see who Saluda beat on the way here.
They had some big wins.
And I'm very, very impressed by that. They beat Southside and Abbeville back-to-back games.
Yeah, that was with the Hertzberg kid
very,
back
very
for Southside as well.
Yeah, that is very, very impressive to do. Give you an idea.
Both on the road as well, right?
Yeah. I mean, Saluda they were not ranked in the top 10 coming to the playoffs. And their last 2 games, they knocked off number 3 and number 1.
Yeah.
Back-to-back games.
That's impressive.
That is very, very impressive to me. Barnwell, really the only top 10 team they played in the playoffs was Oceanside. Yeah, and a very good team in Oceanside.
Yeah.
Not taking anything away from them, but I like the road that Saluda took to get here.
I think I'm leaning Barnwell. Another thing, they had experience last year. They played Abbeville last year for state, lost a game, fairly big margin actually, but they were there. And what I love about those guys is something that you don't see a lot at the high school level, at least, or when you do see it, it doesn't make sense. But I feel like for them, it does. I don't know if you guys have seen them play before or not. They're very multiple. Coach Garrick there, so they've got a kid at quarterback, the Pender kid, very solid kids, getting some small college offers. We'll be surprised if he gets some bigger ones here, kind of as the season closes up, goes some camps, things like that. But he can spread you out. They'll go 4 wide for a possession, spread you out, pick you apart down the field, and they'll turn around and run the wishbone later in the game. So they've got a lot of different options there of how they can, kind of wear you down to keep you off balance on offense. And we've seen some games earlier this year, John. We talked about the Greenville game where they were all over the place with their formations and whatnot, where it didn't make sense. I think the way that Barnwell does it makes a little more sense. Like they have a little more strategy to it. It seems like to me from seeing them play. So I think that could play into their favor. I mean, it's not just where if you're Saluda, what do you prepare for? I mean, you got to prepare for both, and that takes up. You don't get as much practice time on what on one or the other. So interesting matchup. I know Ray over here said he's got Barnwell in a close one. John, who's your pick in this game? Like I said, probably either my favorite or second favorite game of the weekend.
I'm going to go Saluda.
Okay.
Just going through kind of what I talked about with Rich Spring Monetta in 1A. Saluda, they lost 3 games this year. They lost to Abbeville, Southside Christian, let me see. Am I right there? Southside Christian, Abbeville, Batesburg, Leesville. They did not face Batesburg, Leesville in the playoffs, but they avenged the other 2 losses. So to me, that shows, hey, this team has improved as the season has gone, and I think they're battle tested. I think they're ready. Okay.
This is the first one we're going to disagree on. I'm going to go with Barnwell. I think experience of being there last year, experience of a senior quarterback, a lot of players that have experience in that state championship game. And I guess it's hard to go against Noah Bell at Saluda. That kid is super good. But I'm going to go with Barnwell and the Warhorses in a close one. This may be a 3-point game, 6-point game, 7-point game. I think it's going to be a close game either way, really, Saturday or Friday night at 5 o'clock at Benedict. We got a couple more viewers. See Brian tuning in, Terrence, Chris. Hey, what's up, Chris? Doing well, man. Sorry you guys on Facebook for having the weird screen tonight. I don't know what's going on with that, but it's been a mess. So if you guys are on Twitter, appreciate you tuning in as well. Shoot us some comments, things like that. Want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors, the Georgia Agency. I can't put the logo up because we got the weird screen now. But if you guys need some insurance help, open enrollment is still open through December 15th, I think. So you need to get insurance. So call these guys. It's not going to cost you any more to go with them, but they can actually help you know what you're getting. If you're a seasonal worker or something like that, and you'll get insurance through your company, give them a call. Or if you're a business owner, small business owner, needs something for your group, give them a call as well. Call Bradley, Wayne, and the crew there. Go to thegeorgiaagency.net to find them online, and also Georgia Agency on Facebook for some more info on those guys. Also, our sponsor, Always on Top. If you're a North Carolina fan, you want to get this shirt to remind your South Carolina fans you guys are always on top, just like you were in game 1 of the season. Check them out, Always on Top brand, Always on Top clothing on Facebook and Instagram. Follow us on Twitter at Movin the Chains, MoveInChains, and on Facebook at Movin the Chains SC if you want to type it straight in like that. Also on YouTube, Google Podcasts, Twitter.com, Apple Podcasts, Spreaker with the audio version. Probably as soon as maybe early tomorrow, maybe late tonight, we'll probably have those up as well. So, anything else, John, you want to mention on 2A before we move into 3A with another huge matchup?
No, I'm really excited about this one. I think this is cool, and it blows my mind. Saluda flew under the radar coming to the playoffs.
They're getting hot at the right time. I mean, they avenged 2 losses, like you said, and they're rolling.
They had those quality losses, but now they're cashing in on it.
There you go.
Some payback.
So now in the 3A game, this is the 3 o'clock game on Saturday at Williams-Brice Stadium. The home team out of the upper state will be the Chapman Panthers, fresh off of a 63-37 victory over Camden on Friday night against the lower state champion Dillon Wildcats, a 35-28 winner over May River. John, this, I just said that 2A is probably my favorite matchup, or one of. If it's not 2A, it's 3A. These two are the two that I'm all about right now. I think these would be a great ball game. You go first on this one. Talk to me about what you're thinking here.
Yeah, this is the game by far I'm looking forward to more than either of them. So I got to see Chapman in person for the first time last week. I've been a bit of a fan of Camden all year as well, and the game was it wasn't even close to being competitive.
No, yeah. You were texting me. I was like, "Yeah, John, send me the scores. I'm going to post as soon as I can." 7-0, 14-0, 21-0. I was like, "Whoa, okay."
It was Chapman.
Good night.
Chapman had 2 drives in the first half that were under a minute, and they weren't 20-yard drives. They were 70 plus. And Camden, you could tell they didn't. You get lucky and skate their way through. You could tell Pearson kid at quarterback is a good player. They've got a shifty little running back, pretty good receivers. But Chapman was just, it was not like you were watching 2 3A teams. It was like you were watching a 5A team and a 3A team. A very good 5A team.
Yeah. I've heard from several people that think that Chapman would win 4A this year if they're in 4A.
It was,
for sure. So.
Cole Sertz there are a lot of good players on the field.
Yeah.
He is, I think, head and shoulders the best player on the field.
Another SC football finalist there, which I think will be announced here in a couple weeks. Comment from Chris, you guys heading to Columbia. We're working on that, Chris. We're waiting to hear back on a couple things. We're going to try to be down there at least for the first couple games. So if you're down there, feel free to say hey. If not, follow us on Twitter and Facebook for some updates while we're down there. We're going to try to get down there if we can, at least for 5A and 3A, if not 4A as well. John, a team, kind of a hometown favorite for you, the Dillon Wildcats at Lower State. And this, I was saying this earlier today. Growing up, I think Dillon, even the past several years until the last couple, Dillon was known as big bad Dillon. Like they're strong, they're tough, they're going to run through you, they're going to run over you. They weren't going to, they were kind of maybe not grind it out, but they were going to run the ball and they were going to.
They're going to be physical.
Yeah, exactly.
They're going to hit you.
And now, especially this year, they've got so many weapons on offense. Like they've got 2 really good receivers. They got the best receiver in the state, I think, for next year. Amari Huggins-Bruce, kid can fly. Got another receiver that's really good. Got an awesome running back in the Squire kid. The quarterback Lester has been there for 3 years as a starter now. Like he's got a ton of experience. It's not just a ground and pound anymore. Dillon, they're going to air it out and they're going to they're going to get some big plays on you.
Yeah. And there's certainly going to be a tough opponent. They play great defense as well. Really their one slip up all year was that Ainard game. You look outside of that, nobody really scored a ton of points on them. Gilbert had a very good game against them a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
That was a little bit of a shootout, 41-34 game. May River put up 28 last week, but Dillon does not give up a whole lot of points, which makes this matchup even more intriguing because the Chapman offense is, hey, we're going to score whenever we want to. Whether it's the second play of the drive, third play, we'll pick.
Yeah.
But, seeing that air raid passing attack from Chapman going up against the Dillon defense would be a lot of fun. I tell you what, you say Dillon, they carry that brand name, seeing that D on that helmet. It's got a reputation of being tough, physical, maybe even a little borderline nasty.
Nasty cats.
The Chapman game I went to last week, and I went to a couple last year. I haven't been to a Chapman game yet where there haven't been a couple personal fouls.
So they play tough and physical too, huh?
Talking about playing through the whistle to the end of the whistle.
Through the E of the whistle.
They do it. They do it. And I think it was, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kev, I know a few years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, Dillon State Championship knocked out, and I want to say it was Chapman, maybe Newberry, knocked out their very good quarterback.
I believe it was Colasardo,
early
I
in the
think.
game.
Was it not?
And it
Somebody
might have been-
correct us, you guys on Twitter or remember that. I think
I
it
can't
was,
remember if it was either Newberry or Chapman, but it might have been a 9th, 10th grade Cole Searts at the time.
Yeah.
Knocked him out first drive, and the big narrative after that game was, well, had Dillon not knocked out that quarterback on, I think it was a play on the sidelines, borderline late hit, rough hit. Game could have gone a little bit differently. So it'll be interesting to see, try to get a little revenge. And hey, Chapman's the last team to knock off Dillon in Columbia too.
Yeah. Well, Chester last year.
Chester.
Yeah. Ray said he's going with Dillon, but could go either way. This is kind of an odd year for Dillon too, where they didn't win the regions. They had to go on the road all playoffs long. They went on the road. I guess they hosted Walkmall round 1, but they were on the road at Wade Hampton, on the road at Gilbert, on the road at May River. That's a little different for those guys. And I know the last couple of weeks they've pulled out close games where I think Gilbert and Wade Hampton had a shot at the end zone at the end of the game to tie it up or even to win the game. Couldn't, in Gilbert's case, I think it was, but couldn't quite pull it off. So they've been kind of skating by, which kind of worries me a little bit.
I feel like it's not the typical Dillon team,
right?
That we've seen the last few years, where it's kind of like how we'll talk about Dutch Fork later.
Mm-hmm.
Like, wow, they really haven't seen a whole lot. They have not been too tested
in
the season. Whereas Dillon, they've had a handful this year, and maybe that suits them better in Columbia this weekend. We'll see.
Yeah, Chapman, I was talking to somebody earlier this week. You were there, and they're asking how do you defend Dillon? How do you defend Chapman? Hope they don't get off the bus. I don't know. What do you say?
I think you play prevent defense. You put your safeties about 30 yards off the line of scrimmage and say, do not let those wide receivers.
But they got good running backs too. Dante is it Smith or Jackson? The running back is a good player there. And obviously McKaylee can run too. The quarterback can also take off. So they've got a lot of ways they can score on you. I think like you told me, like you said, you just got to avoid the big plays. Like they can hit you real quick for 70 yards and touchdown. And you can't if you're Dillon. I don't think you want to get into a shootout with these guys.
But I don't know if you
like
have a choice. I think, a lot of times when you play good, and this is at all levels of football, you play really good offense, it's kind of, hey, match them score for score, and then you got to play to get a turnover, to catch a break on defense. And I think that's, if I'm Dillon, that's kind of my mindset going into the game of they're going to score points.
Yeah.
Understand that they are very good at throwing the ball and they want to throw the ball deep. Anything you can do to try to take away some of that passing game, make them run the ball. Yeah. They have good running backs, but they want to throw the ball. They want to throw the ball deep. Try to take that away from them a little bit. Try to keep them in front of you. Make them run 7 plays instead of 4 plays. And maybe play number 6, they make a mistake and you get a ball you get a stop on the third down. I think that's the way to play it. Camden last week came to the game, and I think they had the mindset of, hey, we know Chapman's going to score. We're just going to try to take the ball, run the ball down the field, try to shorten the game, kill the clock. But the problem was the Chapman defensive line, they stood their ground. Camden, they threw the ball down the field. Mm-hmm. Each drive in the first half, but they got down inside that 10-yard line, and Chapman not let them run the ball up the middle. So I think for Dillon, you want to try to shorten the game a little bit, run the ball, run some clock. Okay, but that's dangerous because the more plays you're running, the more chances you have to make mistakes too. So I think you have to be, your mindset has to be a little bit of, hey, this might be a shootout and just prepare for that.
Right. Yeah.
And Dillon can do that. I think Dillon can do that. I think they have the team that can do that. Maybe not match them score for score, but hey, you catch a couple breaks,
so
you catch a couple turnovers, it's a different game.
Last thing before we get a pick here, John, is this Coach Mark Hodges' final game at Chapman? Because from what I know, he is one of the hot names in the coaching ranks of South Carolina from what he's done at Chapman. I hear there's going to be some big jobs opening up here in the next few weeks. He's got to be a guy teams you're looking at. Got to be.
I would. If I'm a high school...
Your quarterback's leaving. Is it time to get out now?
Yes. If I'm a high school and I'm hiring, he's one of my first calls. And I'm him, hey, you can't take Cole Searts with you.
Yeah, that's right. So who's your pick in 3A, John? Who do you like?
I'm picking Chapman.
Yep.
And I think it's going to be a 2-3 score game. I don't think it's going to be super close.
It's tough. I guess you guys are kind of on the border. But growing up, I've always been a lower state guy. So, I want to pick Dillon. I really do. And I've looked at the angles. I don't see it. Like you said, unless Chapman turns it over a ton, which maybe happens.
It could happen.
But happen. I think Chapman's the favorite here, and like you said, I think it may be a 10 to 14 point game.
At least. I'll be surprised if it's within 2 scores.
Yeah, so thank you guys on Twitter to see the Wren team over here. A couple Myrtle Beach guys tuning in on Twitter. Thank you guys for that. Some Malden guys, thank you guys. Facebook got some new viewers as well. Appreciate you guys tuning in. If you're on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at Movin the Chains. If you're on Twitter, follow us on Facebook at Movin the Chains. We'll be also on YouTube shortly here tonight. We'll be on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. If you guys want just a audio version, we'll have that available for you as well. So tune into all those in case you want to hit it on maybe on your ride to work tomorrow while you're sitting at your office desk. Check us out there with the audio version. So, John, the 4A game now. This is the game that I don't know what it is. Like, it doesn't excite me. Like, I don't. It's not that I don't think it's going to be a good game. I think it'll be a really good ball game. I don't know what it is. I'm just not like super pumped for it. But to give you guys a quick breakdown here, the Upper State team are the Wren Hurricanes. I will say that, John, I think that we both may have picked them to win Upper State. So if so, I need to go check the tapes from that. But we were all over those guys making a run. So Wren fresh off a 34-19 victory over Ridgeview, who it's a very good football team. Obviously, they beat Daniel on the way here, AC4 on the way here. So Wren with the big victory there. They knocked off Palmetto. They have knocked off Archer Wilkinson, Greer, and Greenville before Ridgeview. And then Myrtle Beach, a 20-21 victory over Hartsville, has them as the lower state representative for 4A. John, this is still a game. They still don't know what's going to happen with Luke Doty. He hasn't played in a few weeks. The Berger kid is filled in very admirably at quarterback for them. From what I'm reading, they're still holding out hope that he can play this week. And I also saw a story today where they're saying, if he can't grip a football with his hand injury, there's a chance they're going to put him at receiver or DB, where he's played before younger in his career, earlier in his career. So I think he may see the field this weekend, but it's also could just be the coaches just keep saying this to kind of make Wren prepare for something else. I don't know what to think out of this whole situation.
I think if you can get him on the field in any way, shape, or form, you do it.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's a great quarterback.
He's a great athlete.
He's a tremendous athlete. He's got to be. You got to think he's the best athlete on the team. Probably the best athlete on the field.
I've said it before.
If you can get him out there, I think you do it.
Yeah, I've said it before. I think Luke Doty is Carolina's quarterback next year. I think he's going to take the job from Walensky.
And a lot more people, I think, have that, or at least a lot of Gamecock fans I've talked to seem to have that thought too. And I think they might be right.
Yeah, and that was a weird game last week for those guys when they beat Hartsville. Hartsville was up 14-0 early. Had a couple weird plays. Their linebacker got ejected. Their quarterback went down, and they had to end up playing a receiver at quarterback. And then Myrtle Beach came back and beat them. A couple deep touchdowns from Berger to J.J. Jones, a 2021 receiver prospect there that Myrtle Beach has. While Wren, ho-hum, they haven't really played a ton of really close games in the playoffs. They blew out
during the season,
blew out OW, blew out Greer, beat Greenville 17-7, I think it was, something like that. So the Greenville game was a little close, and they beat Ridgeview by 15 points. And what's impressive to me, John, with this run they've been in, we talked all year about how Wren, they could score 70 any week they wanted to. Joe Owens, a quarterback, great quarterback. That defense has really impressed me in this run here. Giving up 14 to OW. 20-something to Greer, but a lot of those were, really in garbage time there. Holding Greenville to under 10,
and
then 19 against Ridgeview. That defense has shown up in the playoffs, John, and that's something that people, at least I didn't really expect to see from Wren. I thought they win a lot of shootouts, but they're winning by scoring points and holding teams down in the playoffs.
And that's still demoralizing for the other team because all these other teams are looking at the tape and going, "Oh man, these guys are going to score every time they touch the ball. Mm-hmm. We better be able to match it." And then you get out there and you're not moving the ball, you're not scoring. It's got to be that's got to get in your head a little bit too.
Yeah, this is a game where I really think it can go either way. I don't think I have a favorite. Myrtle Beach, I think so much lingers on the Doty kid, and even if he does play, what percentage is he at quarterback? That's so tough to take that many weeks off and to come back and just step right into it and take championship. I know they're defending champs. They've got experience, which I've been big on all show long, talking about experience. And they have that, which Wren does. This is Wren's deepest run in the playoffs, and
they've never been in the state championship. It's the
first
time they've
been in the state championship. So huge game just for Wren to even be there. So you wonder if maybe under the lights, those kids are a little bit shocked, a little rattled, maybe. So kind of hard to say there. Ray is going with Myrtle Beach with a close win late in the fourth quarter. It's a good pick, Ray. It's tough to go against that, John. Any more analysis you want to throw into this game before you kind of make a pick there on it?
Yes, this is going to allude to my pick here a little bit, but you look at the bracket, and Wren was impressive through the playoff bracket, sure. But you look at who they beat. They beat an Orangeburg Wilkinson team that was, in the playoffs, but not a great team. And then they caught a break. They avoided South Point.
Well, I mean, South Point, they're good, though, this year.
They caught Greer,
yeah.
who they had a great game against South Point, but they caught a Greer team that did not play well all year. And then they played a Greenville team who, and maybe we just caught them on a bad week, but we were not very impressed. Neither was very impressed with Greenville. So, I mean, again, a good win on the road against the Greenville team, but Greenville doesn't scare me. And then, they avoid Daniel, and they got to play Ridgeview in the Upper State Championship, which, again, a Ridgeview team that was hot.
Good football team. Ridgeview, that team was really good.
But Daniel had beat them. That's one of their two losses was Daniel during the year. They avoided Daniel. They avoided South Point. So I think they got a little bit lucky going through this bracket. And, all in all, I just think Myrtle Beach is a better team.
Okay.
I think Myrtle Beach is better. I think they will find a way to put Doty on the field, be it quarterback or whatever it may be. They'll find a way. And even if he doesn't play that much, Myrtle Beach is taking care of business against some pretty good teams.
And that's where, I've been, ever since the Luke Doty injury in the playoffs, I've been kind of picking against them like, hey, if Doty doesn't play, Airport's going to beat them. Hey, if Doty doesn't play, Hartsville's going to beat them. Hey, Doty didn't play, and nobody beat them. So I've been kind of wrong about that all playoffs long.
I thought that too, especially with Hartsville.
Yeah. I feel like I may have to go back and do it again, though. That's the I think this Wren team, man, I like that quarterback. I like Joe Owens a lot there, and I like what the defense is doing. Myrtle Beach, one thing we can say, they gave up some points in the playoffs, John. They got 31 in round 1 to Lakewood, 27 in round 2 to North Myrtle Beach. I don't remember how many Airport scored, but then 21 again last week to Hartsville. And that was 14 quick ones where the quarterback got hurt. So who knows how many Hartsville would have scored if they had the full repertoire all game long. I'm going to go with Wren in a close game here, John. I think that the Owens has a big game for those guys, and I'm thinking maybe like a 30-27 type ball game, a close ball game there. Myrtle Beach has proved me wrong before. Proved me wrong last year. I thought Greer was going to beat them last year. Myrtle Beach won, and Myrtle Beach has proved me wrong several times in the playoffs. So, and I think even if Doty plays, I don't know how effective he'll be at quarterback. If he's playing receiver and just defensive back, different story there. But he goes in at quarterback. I don't know what to expect out of that. So I'm going to go with Wren in a close one here in 4A.
Okay. All right. We'll see. And that Airport game was a 35-10 game.
Okay, so they shut down Airport pretty good.
Shut down Airport there. But interesting. Yeah, and it will be interesting to see where all Doty is able to play in that game. Yeah, I just think Myrtle Beach is better. And that's solidified my thought last few weeks, having to play with a hurt Doty.
Yeah. Quick shout out to our sponsors. Again, Always on Top Clothing, Always on Top brand. If you're a North Carolina fan, get you a shirt to prove to all your South Carolina fans that the Tar Heels are literally always on top, just like they were in week 1 of the season here with that victory. Also, shout out to our sponsor, the Georgia Agency, Bradley and Wayne and the crew down there. If you guys are maybe a seasonal worker or maybe you work in hospitality and you don't get insurance through the place you work, give those guys a call. It doesn't cost you any extra to use them. Like basically, they just make sure that you know what you're getting and they get you in the best plan possible. Or if you're even a small business owner and you need insurance for your whole company, they can get you there too. Call Richard, call Wayne, call Bradley, those guys. Check them out at thegeorgiaagency.net, George Agency on Facebook, and they'll get you set up. Open enrollment, John, is still open through December 15th.
Okay.
You literally have to have insurance. Like, it's a law now. So, if you don't have it,
you should
get it, please. Yes. A couple more viewers. I see Tyreek and Jordan. Thank you guys. Some comments from Tyreek here, John. Tyreek says he thinks Saluda will beat Barnwell by 14.
Wow.
I would be, Tyreek.
That'd be crazy.
I would be shocked if that happened. I know.
That'd be cool.
Like I mentioned earlier, John, a lot of smack talk between Barnwell and Saluda been going on this week. That Barnwell team, I think people are just sleeping on them. I know you picked Saluda too. I don't think you picked them by 14. I don't think you thought they were going to win by that much.
No. That's bold.
That's a bold prediction. Bold prediction. But Saluda's hot. They're hot right now. Noah Bell at quarterback. The right kid at receiver. They can score some points, but I think I like Barnwell, like I said earlier there. And John, let's move into 5A here. We got another coming from Primo James. He likes Saluda as well. And, that's a good team. I mean, thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate it. If you hadn't followed us on Facebook or on Twitter, like us, comment, check us out. Follow us on Twitter at Movin the Chains. We plan to be at the games this weekend, so follow us on there for all the updates throughout it. And then follow us on Facebook as well for some more videos, things like that, while we're down there doing some quick halftime recaps and whatnot. Also on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Radio.com, all that stuff. Primo actually says 48-14 Saluda. So Primo is all in on Saluda Tigers this weekend. If that happens, I think Barnwell must have had a ton of injuries or something. I don't know.
I'll tell you what,
that would be
give Saluda the biggest trophy that's in the stadium.
Quite a shocker. There got a couple more viewers, Ben and Brian, tuning in. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you on Facebook. You guys on Twitter tuning in. Thank you guys as well. I know we had a Wren viewer earlier, so I'm sure they're happy with our pick there. Maybe viewers more happy with your pick than mine, but that's okay. But name of the big boys here, 5A, John. This is the noon game on Saturday, which I don't know if I like how SC football does this, where they kind of rotate the games each day.
I kind of like it. I remembered, and correct me guys if I'm wrong, I remember the Big 16 days when I used to go to Columbia for the Weekend of Champions almost every year as a kid growing up. And that 5A game or the Big 16 game, 4A game was always, I don't know if it was, I feel like it was typically that 3 p.m. slot, 4 p.m. slot, and then the 3A game, which is now 4A, that was the night game. But it was, I've never seen the 4A game as the nightcap. Outside of the Big 16, they used to play that Friday night beforehand, and that was really cool. Watch that on TV and getting real gassed up for Saturday and going.
There you go. A couple more viewers and comments. Say Tim's in here, Scott's in there, Mark's in here. Hey, yeah, what's up, Mark? Doing all right, man? A couple more Saluda fans. Ben saying he's all with Saluda as well, just like Tyreek is.
Sounds like Saluda's going to have a lot of people.
This is going to be a big crowd from Saluda and Barnwell. Barnwell travels well. I'll give them that, too. So this will be a big show down there in 2A Friday night. Scott says, come hang out with the Panthers with tailgating before the game.
Very cool.
Scott, if we're down there, we'll come see you for sure, man. We're excited for that 3A game. Like I said, 2A and 3A are my favorite matchups for this weekend.
Guess I can't wear my Dillon hat if we do that.
Well, we both picked Chapman, so I think we'll be okay. But he says he's calling out Chapman by 19.
I can see that.
Yeah, I said probably 10-14, but 19, I can see that as well, Scott. The Chapman offense is just so tough to stop. But back to the big boys here, John. Actually, I want to make a point. You talk about the Weekend of Champions. Have you guys seen this new trophy they're doing for this year? It's absolutely terrible. We'll probably tweet a picture of it later. The trophy is awful. I think they're trying to kind of look like the NCAA basketball trophy.
Which is also a terrible trophy.
Yes, this trophy is awful. Just awful. I wouldn't want that if I won state. Like, give me something really a lot better than that. But anyway, 5A, the noon game Saturday at Williams-Brice Stadium. The upper state champion Dorman Cavaliers, undefeated Dorman team, put off a 30-6 victory over a Gaffney team that was on a roll going into last weekend, John, against the lower state champions, the unanimous #1 team all season long in the polls, the Dutch Fort Silver Foxes, coming off a 45-20 victory over Carolina Forest in a game that was fairly close early. It kind of got out of hand late for Carolina Forest. I think it may have been like 17-14, second quarter, something like that. But the Dutch Fort team kind of pulled away late. John, I know we've seen Dorman play earlier this year in a close win over Burns. They really rolled through the playoffs. I think a team, obviously, I want to mention this right quick, a team that we should have given more credit to was Clover. They played Dorman as tough as anybody has all year long. That team, we kind of hated them a little bit. Like, Malden not knock them off. Malden didn't. We picked Dorman big over them, and Dorman got away with the last-second field goal to win the game over those guys. So Clover, the Blue Eagles have a good program there under it's Brian Lane is the coach now, I think, John. Is that correct?
I am not sure.
I think he is. But anyway, so Dorman, with Coach Goodshaw, he got one of the best coaches in the state there. Talking about multiple offenses, he's got all the plays. Every play he can run it on you, run it in formation, run it on you with some spread stuff. He's got a quarterback now, Hayden. What's the kid's last name? Anyway, Hayden Lee. That kid's got a hell of an arm. We saw him throw against Burns, and he threw 3 or 4 deep touchdown passes against those guys there next to the field that night.
Yeah, and those were 3rd down and 20 kind of plays too.
Yeah, he moves around well. He's good at extending plays for sure. it's interesting to see how this Dorman team holds up against Dutch Fork. This is a rematch of the state championship 2 years ago. Dutch Fork won 28-27. Dorman actually went for 2 late in the game, did not get it. I know they asked Coach Gutschall about that yesterday at the press conference, and he says, I would have done it again, but I just called a different play this time. The Dutch Fork coach, Tom Knott, said he'd have gone for it as well. So everybody was on board with that call, I think. I'm going to catch up on a couple comments for you about the 5A here. Let's see. We've got Mark saying, very surprised to see Abbeville lose. Yeah, Abbeville losing was a shocker of the playoffs, really. I mean, that was a unanimous 2A team there. Getting beat by a Saluda team they already beat fairly handily early in the year was a big shocker there. A couple more Saluda picks in here. Ray says he thinks Dorman's good but can't beat Dutch Fork. Primo says Saluda's the big boys. Got Mr. Football and Noah Bell down there. A couple more viewers with Rivers. Tyreek talking about Saluda some stuff more. I mean, apparently John, Saluda has more fans than I ever knew they had in my life.
I like it.
I don't know a lot about Saluda, but apparently I need to learn more about him. Apparently, I know they're a good football team, but they got fans. I love it tuning in. Thank you guys for checking us out tonight on Moving the Chains. Really do appreciate it. So 5A kind of covered Dorman there. Defense is pretty solid. We saw Burns score 30-ish points against them. I think it was something like that. So not a lockdown defense, I wouldn't say. I know they held Gaffney to 6. But Gaffney is not necessarily an offensive juggernaut, I wouldn't say.
Well, and Burns, that was a 35-33 game.
33
that Burns team is very lethal.
That's true, with Rajay Harris.
That was a Rajay Harris showcase game, too.
Yeah. And then, in Dutch Fork, I mean, that's a team that's cruised pretty much all year. They had the tie early in the year against Mallard Creek in the game that had the rain issue down there. And then, they played nobody else really close all year long. They blew everybody out. I think Carolina Forest, that 45-20 game, may have been their closest one.
That was their
besides
closest
Mallard
game.
Creek.
The next closest game they played all year was against White Knoll, a 41-14 win.
Yeah. And, with Dutch Fork, if they're going for 4 in a row, 4 championships in a row. I mean, they got players you just don't like. The Olin Chuck kid at QB is awesome. The Hyatt kid at receiver is awesome. The running back scored like 5 touchdowns last year. I think it's Hines scored 5 touchdowns last week for their running back. Defensive line is stout. I mean, those guys, they, probably out of their 22 starters, they probably got 20 that could play somewhere college football next year, if not all 22. I mean, that's how good that team is. So, definitely a tough task for Dorman. I know Scott's picking Dorman over here. I saw that. Tyreek talking about Saluda again. Yeah, dude, I'm excited for that game now. I mean, I'm pumped for this 2A game on Friday. Back to some Dutch Fork Dorman, John. What are you thinking with that game, man?
Yeah, we've seen Dorman play, and I was very, very impressed with really everything about Dorman. They gave up some points to Burns in that game that we went to, but that was there's a couple games you see it a lot at the college level. Not so much, I don't think, at the high school level, but there's a couple games, and I can count on one hand how many games I've been to in different stadiums where you go in the stadium, it's before kickoff, and you say to yourself, "Oh man, this is peak level for this stadium right now."
Mm-hmm.
And at Nixon Field that night, that was, to me, and I haven't been to a ton of Burns games at Nixon Field, but to me that was, this has got to be peak level.
That was a big time game.
It was an incredible atmosphere before the game, during the game. And for Dorman to win that game alone, I thought was very impressive. But, I just like the way that they spread the ball around a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
They can throw the ball, they can run the ball. They played pretty smart. I think they, that Burns game particularly, I thought they came with a great game plan. They switched things up a little bit. They made great adjustments.
And the great play call with the reverse pass there for the last 4.
That was the best play I've seen all year.
That was Chance Dunlap, I think was the running back. Was that his name? Chance Dunlap? Anyway, Chance something through the TD pass there. Huge for those guys.
But yeah, I think they have one team that has a chance to knock off Dutch Fork. It's probably Dorman. I would say 1A or 1B would be Burns.
Gaffney took care of those guys.
They did, and Dorman did themselves during the regular season too.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they got a great chance. But for me, I just don't think they got the horsepower to knock off Dutch Fork. And what I thought was very surprising, I knew a little bit about Dutch Fork last year, not a ton. I've got some family actually. There in the area, their kids go to Dutch Fork, and he told me last year, he said, well, the scary thing is, last year's Dutch Fork team, he goes, a lot of the best players on that last year's team are 11th graders.
Yeah.
So those guys are all now 12th graders.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, if you could say they were better than they were last year, that certainly adds or more experience than they were last year. So that's a scary group to go up against. But the fact that Mallard Creek played them to a tie in the beginning of the year, it shows that they're not completely invincible. So I think that's got to give Dorman a little something to hang on to. And hey, nobody's beat Dorman this year either.
That's right. Dorman's got a little bit of the revenge factor after 2 years ago. I feel like they get, they probably have feeling that they could have won that game easily, and they obviously they didn't. But that kind of probably fuels them a little bit. But Dutch Fork 4 years in a row, going for 4 in a row at least. Tons of experience there. Like you said, the quarterback's back, the receiver Hyatt's back, their receiver in the state going to Tennessee next year. They've got some really good players there. I know Primo says Dillon Wright, especially in the state. The Wright kid is very good at Saluda. I will give you that. I don't know how exactly to stack up against each other. They're both very good players. I know Hyatt's going to Tennessee next year. It's going to be tough to contain for Dorman for sure. And that's what worries me. I don't know if Dorman can get enough stops to beat Dutch Fork. That's what really worries me, John.
I just don't know that. They have the depth.
Yeah,
just the talent depth.
Yeah, like I said, watching that Burns Dorman game, although Dorman won, I felt like leaving the game. I felt like Burns was a more state championship ready team than Dorman was. I don't know what it was, but I just had a weird feeling that I felt like Burns, even though they lost, showed me more than what I took from Dorman that day. So maybe that doesn't make any sense to anybody else, but it does make sense to me. So I'm going to go with Dutch Fork. I'm going to go with Dutch Fork with a close, maybe not close, maybe 10-point game. Chris says he thinks Dorman will be a time of possession. If they control time of possession, they can win. That is big, and Coach Gutshaw, he knows how to run the ball. And this year they're throwing a little bit more because they've got a little more passing options there with the quarterback. The league kids a little bit throwing what they've had in the past. They got some good receivers out there. But it'll be interesting to see if he goes back to kind of more of that grinded out type offense. If they do, if he keep Dutch Fork off the field, all bets are off, John. Yeah,
for sure. And that coaching staff showed us too that they're not shy about making changes and making adjustments during the game. So I like the fact that Dorman they're versatile in that regard, and I certainly think this will be Dutch Fork's toughest test since not a great game.
Yeah,
by far.
So we're both going Dutch Fork. Is that our pick?
I'm gonna go Dutch Fork. I think I don't think it will be more than a 2-score game.
Yeah.
I think it'll be within 2 scores. Hopefully a lot closer. I'll be pulling for the underdog. I'd love to see Dorman.
I just want close games. I mean, really, yeah. So that kind of wraps up all of our picks there for 1A through 5A. John, anything else you want to hit on? I know we kind of talked about how bad the trophies are. We talked about trying to find these games on TV. Talked about being down there. I want to bring this up again. This is something that I've harped on all year, and you kind of hopped on with me, John, is the SC prep poll and how much of a joke that thing is every week.
Where's Saluda in the prep poll?
Yeah, and it's just, unanimous number ones, 2 of them are out. One of them went out in the first round.
The only one-2 matchup we have is 5A.
Yeah, so very frustrating how that prep poll works out. I'm not a fan of it, and I think maybe we should come up with a better way to rank these teams throughout the year. Obviously, it doesn't really matter anything when the playoffs come.
Maybe just throw in more input.
Yeah, it's just funny. My main issue.
Even have a coach's poll. Who knows?
My main issue always with it is the unanimous number ones. Like you're telling me this team gets every single vote at 1. That doesn't make Abbeville went down. South Point went down, obviously. So interesting to see how that kind of works out there. Very, very crazy there, John. If you guys are watching on Twitter, we appreciate it. Check us out on Facebook at Movin' Chains. If you're watching on Facebook, check us out on Twitter at Movin' Chains. We'll also be on YouTube later tonight, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spreaker with the audio-only version in case you download that, listen to it at work tomorrow or whatever. We'll run through our picks here again in a minute. John, anything else you want to hit on before we do that?
No, this may not work. I've got the former state championship trophy here pulled up. I don't know if this can... that's not
a little bit of glare there. Yeah, that's probably going to be the best option.
But really good looking trophy we used to have. It's got the classic silver, like a cup look with 2 handles on the wood base, and has S on one side, C on the other side. Cool classic look for a trophy, and the new trophy is a plank of wood.
It's bad. It's bad, but
it's a bummer.
Yeah, like I said, we're going to try to be down there Saturday. If you guys are there in Columbia, feel free, to say, hey, check us out. We'd love to meet some of you guys and say hey and watch the football with you. If you're not down there, be sure, like I said, check us out, follow us on here so you can kind of get some updates throughout the game. On Twitter, we'll be posting a lot of updates. We're on Facebook, we'll probably just do more like halftime score, in the first quarter score, things like that. But Twitter will have every touchdown pretty much on there for you, keep you up to date. A couple more comments over here, guys. I'm asking about some more Saluda and Abbeville stuff. Primo said Abbeville had all the hype and they beat them. They did. That is
very, very true.
That's a big win for the Tigers there, and interesting to see how they fare against Barnwell this week. So, John, in 1A, your pick was Green Sea Floyds versus Ridge Spring Monetta.
I like Green Sea Floyds.
I did too. I think the experience of being there, winning the state championship last year, I think Green Sea Floyds is my favorite. I like Ridge Spring Monetta a lot, and I think I like them more for next year's state championship. With the young players got coming back, the Lee Park kid at quarterback will be back for 2 more years. I think they make a lot of noise next year. But I don't know if they're quite ready this year to win state. I'm going to go with the Green Sea Floyds as well in single A.
Yeah, I think it'll be a close game.
In 2A, the ones that Tyreek and Primo and all those guys I want to hear about, John. 2A, who you got?
I agree with the crowd. I agree with the masses. I'm going Saluda. I like the path that they've had to take here, and I think that's gonna be the difference.
Yes, John's going with Saluda. I'm actually going to go with Barnwell. I've been highlighting that team all year, John. I think them going there last year and losing is going to kind of light a little fire into those guys. I think Barnwell's going to win a very close football game. I don't see this game being a blowout either way. Like I said, this is one of my 2 favorite games all weekend long. I think I see Barnwell put on a close one there. Scott says come by and get some food. Scott, if we're in Columbia, we're going to send you a message for sure and come by and see. No doubt about that. 3A, my other favorite game of the weekend. Chapman, the home team against Dillon. John, we're both on the same team here with this one. We think Chapman by 10, 14 points, maybe 20 points. It's just going to be tough to stop that offense. Like we said, I think if Chapman was playing in the 4A championship, I'd probably pick Chapman in 4A this year too. So
I'd pick him in the 4A game, and I'd love to see them play Dorman. That would be pretty cool.
But yeah, so we're both going with Chapman big in that 3 o'clock game on Saturday. The 4 o'clock game is a nightcap in Columbia on Saturday night at 6:30. Probably more like a 7 o'clock, 7:30 start time. These start times, they're pretty optimistic with some of these. We're going from 12 to 3 to 6:30. I think maybe more like 7:30 for that 4A start, John. Wren against Myrtle Beach. This is kind of different on this one. You got Myrtle Beach, the Seahawks.
Yeah, I think they've proved they're more than just Doty.
Mm-hmm.
And Doty's awesome himself.
Yep. But
they're more than just him. They can win quality games deep in the playoffs without a 100% Doty. So I think they win. And I'm not saying they're going to roll, but unlike Saluda, Wren caught some breaks coming through the.
Saluda played everybody. They beat everybody on the way here.
Yeah.
While Wren hasn't had a toughest playoff schedule in 4A for sure. But I'm going with those guys. I picked against Myrtle Beach pretty much all playoffs long.
I'd love to see it.
I'm going to go with Joe Owens and the Hurricanes. Also, what a great nickname the Hurricanes are. That's a great nickname.
It's a little weird because they're in the upstate and they are, maybe one of the most landlocked schools in the state. But it's pretty cool. It's a great logo. I like it.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Wren as well. A couple more comments. A little more trash talk here. Primo says, choke, Barnwell ain't nothing. Them guys not baptized like Saluda. That's true. Then George Highsmith says, horses by 10. He's in the Barnwell side, so we kind of got it going here for sure. So that's going to be a whale of a ball game on Saturday or Friday afternoon at 5 o'clock for sure. So 4A, John's got Myrtle Beach. I've got Wren. And then the big boys, 5A, the nooner Saturday at Williams-Brice Stadium. Dorman undefeated out of the upstate, taking on a undefeated with one tie team Dutch Fork out of the lower state. John, both on Dutch Fork's bandwagon here. I think the Silver Foxes are a team to beat, and I hope it's close. I really do. But with Dutch Fork, those guys sometimes just get on a roll and kind of snowball on you, so it might get out of hand. But I think Dutch Fork wins maybe a 10-point ball game or so. Yeah,
I think it'll be a game going to the fourth quarter, and I think if you're Dorman, you would subscribe to that all day. Mm-hmm. If you can make it a game, a 7-point, 10-point game going to the final 12 minutes, I think you really got to like your chances. And maybe not, we're going to win this game, but if you can take it to the fourth quarter, you've been in some fourth quarter games before. It's been August.
Yeah,
forecast.
That's true.
So it'll be fun to watch, and I think it will be. I think 10 to 14 point game. And hey, if it's a 10-point game in the fourth quarter, Dutch Fork makes a mistake.
All bets are off.
I kind of took a flyer, earlier in the playoff talk. I said, I think Dutch Fork could get beat this year with all these kids going on to college and, Owen Chuck playing baseball at Clemson. they might be thinking different things. You know, state championship game may not be forefront 100% on their minds. So.
Got a couple Dorman
Never
supporters.
know.
We got Zach Brown saying Dorman all day. George gets in with Dorman by 3. So a couple Cavalier fans. You know, I love to see it. I really just want to see a good ball game. You know, last year I thought we were going to be in for Monetta, Hannah, and Dutch Fort.
Especially
close game at the half, and then Dutch Fort takes off. Now 2 years ago, great ball game between the Silver Foxes and the Cavs, where Dorman missed a 2-point conversion late to win. So we can get a rematch of that. I would love to see it. Love to see it. So more shout out to our sponsors at Georgia Agency. Check them out at georgiaagency.net for all your insurance needs, whether you're a person need it for yourself or for your company. Get Georgia Agency on the phone. Call Bradley, Wayne, and the crew there. Also, shout out to Always on Top Clothing, Always on Top brand on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. If you're a North Carolina fan, get one. To show all your South Carolina fans, you guys are literally always on top. Check them out, Always on Top brand, Always on Top Clothing. And man, I'm just excited for Friday and Saturday, John. This is going to be a great weekend of football.
I think we're going to have good weather. It's not going to be too cold.
Great weekend of football. Like I said, we're going to try to be down there. So check us out on Facebook, Movin the Chains, and on Twitter at Movin Chains. Check that on YouTube. All your podcast options were on there as well. So feel free, you know, if you guys see us down there in Columbia, come say hey. I mean, you know, we like to meet people, so come out and check us out. Got a lot of good things coming up later. So hopefully be down there Saturday. Plan on being at the Shrine Bowl as well in a couple weeks. So a lot of cool things coming for you guys for Moving the Chains. Appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. John, anything else before we sign off here?
No, I'm looking forward to it. If you see it, we'll be wearing some goofy looking little badges walking around. So yeah, give us a shout. Tell us, invite us over. Tell us we're idiots, whatever.
Yeah. So anyway, for John Epps, I'm Kevin Thomas for Moving the Chains, our state championship preview. You guys are tuning in, and we will talk to you soon.